rolling. So, okay, it has started.
Okay, all right, great, great. So good morning once again, everyone, and welcome to Advanced Tax class for this diet. Um, by the grace of God, I'll be taking you through this advanced tax for this diet as well, right? And I think for some of us, we already met in the advanced audit class, so I'll be taking advanced audit and advanced tax. Um, so I mean, I think let me just go through the introduction because of those that are joining, those that were not in the audit class, right? Um, so um, I'll be giving you assignments after each class and taking past questions on each topic just to ensure that we are familiar with how the questions are being set. And so but for advanced tax, because we have a lot of calculations, right? Would be doing it such a way that we have a balance, right, between the places where we need to read and the places where we need to calculate, right? And as much as possible, this class is free, but your commitment is required, right? It takes partnership to be able to achieve success, right? So I'll play my part by making sure that I take you all you need to know. How about the class that I need to have with you? But it's then left to you to be able to cooperate and then do the assignments when you're supposed to, join the class when you're supposed to. Some people will be asking for recordings on the platform and then you just be wondering, and they were online, but they just refused to join, right? So please, as much as possible, join the class. It's free of charge. You might not get it like this in the next diet, right? So I think I met everybody here. I met Feolua, Blessing, Augustine, Joseph, Rachel, and then I know Bolaji already, right? So I think it's a good time to kick off the class, right? By show of hands, how many of us have done tax, like just tax, and at the skills level? Did tax at the skills level? Can I see your hand? Okay. Ifeoluwa did tax, Blessing, Augustine. All right, all right. So you should have some form of background. All right, thank you. So I think so. The introductory part of tax for skills and advanced tax is the same thing, right? So what I'll just be doing is just to run us through the introductory part today. Let's see if we can finish that the next 1 hour thereabout, so that we can then move on to other things in the next class, right? So this is advanced tax, so you don't expect them to ask you what is tax in the exam, or ask you what are the types of tax in the exam, right? And if it's going to come out that way, it's going to come out in a scenario from where you need to do a lot of analysis, right? So I'm trying to share my screen, but depending when my screen comes up, who can tell me what tax is about? What is tax? When you hear tax, what comes to your mind? If you want to speak, raise up your hand so I can call you to speak. What is tax? Okay, so let me call names. So that because I want everybody to just. You don't have. It doesn't have to be correct. So there's no wrong answer in this class, right? Just share your opinion, right? So like I would say, whatever you say, you are just adding to the body of knowledge. So there's no wrong answer. So Rachel, what do you think tax is?
I said tax is a compulsory levied by the government on either workers' income or traders or business owners. The compulsory levy that is paid to the government on workers' income or business people.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Compulsory levy paid on business and workers. Okay, awesome.
Workers.
Any other person? People that did tax. So yeah, give us your definition. People that did tax at the skills level. If you're Oluwa, what is tax?
All right. So it's just similar to what she has said. That's what I want to say too. That it's a compulsory levy imposed by the government on the citizen of a particular country, particularly the workers and business owners.
Okay. Is it only workers and business owners that are supposed to pay tax?
Like everybody, I just
Okay, don't worry. I know. When we finish school those days, we tell them, we don't want to remember. You say you don't want to read any book again after this my exam. I don't want to see anything that has to do with book again. So when you're done with skills now, you guys are forgetting that. Okay, so blessing, what's tax? You did tax in skills level. So what's tax?
Okay. So tax is a compulsory levy imposed by the government on citizens
Okay, okay, okay. By the government on citizens. Okay,
for citizens. Sorry.
okay. All right, all right, all right. So any other person, Augustine?
Yeah, so tax is let's say specific amount of money that the government expects an individual or a business to pay according to their income or value of their property. In case maybe.
Okay, or value of their property. Okay, property tax. Okay. So I mean, we've all tried, and I think one very key thing is also have an idea of what tax is about, right? So one thing is tax is something that people do not like to pay. Yeah, that's something that people do not like to pay, right? People don't like to part away with their money, right? So it's something that people don't like to pay. Um, but then I think one thing that everybody said that is correct is that tax is a compulsory levy, right? But there are other things, but it's deeper than that, right? Um, so tax is a compulsory levy, right? Imposed. So according to national tax policy of 2017, right? That's the definition you need to be able to take, right? So that I'm trying to share my screen so that I can just put it up so that everybody can see, right? Tax is a compulsory levy, right? Imposed on goods and services and individuals, right? And is it without direct benefit to you as a taxpayer, right? And I'll explain that, and I'm going to explain the key components of the definition so that everybody understands, what tax is about. Just give me a minute. I'm just to display my screen. It's just not coming up. So let me know once you can see my screen, please. Once my screen is up, let me know by an emoji or somebody can just tell me that the screen is up. Um, okay, so I'm coming. Just give me a minute. Just let me know once my screen is up. So is it up now? Can you guys see my screen yet? Just mess up.
No, we can't see it.
Can't see my screen yet. Okay. Let me see. Just give me a minute. Okay. So you should be able to see it now, right? Can you?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay. All right. Great. Great. So before I go into all this, I just want to really understand what tax is about. I'm trying to get where the definition is. So I will just break it down for us. Yeah. So this is what the definition of tax is. And this definition that you should take as an advanced tax student, right? This is a definition that you should take, right? Now, according to national tax policy, now national tax policy is a document prepared by the Ministry of Finance, right? And so as far as finance is concerned in Nigeria, Ministry of Finance is the arrowhead, right? And then they've said tax is any compulsory payment, right, to the government imposed by law, right, without any direct benefit or return of value or a service, whether it is called tax or not, right? Now, I'll just break it down. Number one, tax is a compulsory payment, right? So what that means is when you are being taxed, you don't have an option to say, I don't want to pay. You don't have an option to say, I'm not interested in paying. is a compulsory levy. That means you have to pay, right? That's very important. And number two is it is imposed by law. So every tax that you have to pay has to have a law, has to have a backing by the law, right? So we have Capital Gains Tax Act, we have Company Income Tax Act, we have the Stamp Duty Act, we have every other act that backs up the taxes that you are paying, right? So every tax has to be backed up by law. Compulsory levy imposed by law, very important. But funny enough, I mean, we'll still discuss that much later. Funny enough, in Nigeria today, we have people that pay levies and taxes that don't have any backing, right? You see somebody just come up and tear tickets and collect money from people without, any backing of the law. But I mean, that we'll probably discuss that much later, right? But this is how it has to be compulsory, and then it has to be backed up by law. Number three is without any direct benefit to you as a taxpayer. Now, one thing is this: if I pay my tax to the Lagos State government, for example, I don't expect someone to give me amper and say, "Oh, thank you for paying tax." So he will not give me amper, or he will not say, "Oh, because you paid tax, let me come and tar the road in your area because you're the one that pay tax." No, right? There's no direct benefits, right? So, if I pay my taxes, for example, to let's say the FCT IRS, the Federal Capital Territory IRS, right? For example, right? They will not say, Minister Wike will not come and meet me and say, "Oh, well done for paying your tax. Come and collect so amount of money or come and collect." There's no direct benefit. So you only enjoy it in form of infrastructures, you enjoy it in form of good healthcare system, you enjoy it in form of good roads and other programs of the government, right? That's how you benefit from tax. So you benefit it from a general perspective and not personal perspective, right? So when you pay your taxes, there's no direct benefit to you as a taxpayer, right? You're not getting any direct benefits, which is very important. You just put that, right? So, for example, if I go to an hospital and I'm sick, and the doctor says, "Oh, you need to pay some money into the government account," for example, for your treatment, right? I'm getting direct benefits because I'm paying into the government account for a treatment, maybe it's in an hospital. So that one is not tax. So yes, because I'm getting direct benefits, it's not tax. I'm paying into the government account in an hospital and I'm getting treated, right? So I'm getting direct benefits. That's not a tax, right? Because I'm getting direct benefits, right? And then number four is that whether it is called tax or not. Somebody said it's only when it's called tax. No, they can call it any name, right? As far as it has these four features, is a tax. They can call it levy, they can call it fees, anything that they call it, it doesn't matter. But as long as it has these four qualities, number one, it is compulsory. Number two, it is imposed by law. I mean, it is compulsory payments to the government. Very important. Then number two, it is imposed by law. Number three, without any direct benefit. And number four, whether it is called tax or not. Very important. Once these four qualities are there, then you can say, yes, this is a tax payment, right? So it's very important, right? So if somebody asks you what tax is, you tell the person, according to the Nigerian tax policy of 2017, tax can be defined as any compulsory payment to the government imposed by law without any direct benefit or return of value or service, whether it's called tax or not. But one, if you were at tax level, at the tax level excuse, they will tell you that there's a difference between tax and levies and all that. But in the real sense, I mean, that is still a very contentious aspect of the tax. Right? You find people say, "Oh, there's everything tax and levies and all those other things," but the truth about it is, according to the policy, whether it is called tax or not, as far as it has those qualities, then it is it's called tax, right? So if a levy has these qualities, it's a tax. It's not a levy, right? So levy is supposed to be like, "Oh, let's contribute." It's not supposed to be compulsory, but if it has these four qualities, then we can boldly say it is a tax, right? So it's very so. I mean, I hope we're able to understand what tax is. If we are together, can you show can you do a thumbs up or something so that we know we are all together? Or if you have any question on the okay, yeah, great, right? So that's very important. So that's what tax is about, right? Very important. So let's go now to the background of what we are going to be doing, right? Um, so tax administration in Nigeria, right? We have at the federal level, we have the FIRS, and then at the state level, we have various state revenue agencies across the country. So for each state, we have the state revenue authority. We have Lagos State Revenue Authority. We have Ogun State Revenue Authority, we have Akwa Ibom State Revenue Authority, we have, so every state has their own revenue authority, right? And then it now goes down to local government. We have local government administrators as well that administer tax at the local government level, right? So we have federal, we have state, and then we have local government, right? Now there are certain taxes that the federal government have the exclusive right to collect, right? They have the exclusive right to collect certain taxes, right? And then there are certain taxes that the state government have exclusive rights also to collect. And then we have certain taxes that the local government have exclusive rights to collect, right? And where we have multiple taxation is where state government is collecting something and local government is going to collect the same thing. Federal government is collecting something and state government is collect the same thing and all that. But we're going to look at that, in this class, right? Now, one thing that you need to really understand is that it's what they call fiscal federalism, right? And fiscal federalism is how government generates revenue and redistributes the revenue. So how government generates revenue and redistributes the revenue. In Nigeria, for example, we have what we call FAC, right? So that's where everybody pays, that's where some of revenue goes into, and then every month it is shared between states, right? We have, and then I think it used to be 15 for federal government. Sorry, I'm trying to remember now. 50 for states, right? I think 35 for local government. But now it's now based on the new tax reform bill. It's now 10 for federal government, 55 for states, and then 35 for the local governments, right? But I mean, the tax reform bill is yet to be signed, so it's still in process, right? So one thing you need to understand: fiscal federalism means how government generates revenue and then distributes the revenue, right? So there are so many other factors that influences that how government intends to distribute revenue. Like you can see what's happening with tax reform bill as well. So many influences, right? Yeah. So taxing rights, like I said, I've said that already. We have federal government that has some taxing rights to collect some certain taxes. So before now, we used to have. I mean, this ICANN pack is old, right? So before now, we used to have federal government collects taxes for FCT, right? But now we now have FCTIRS. They collect their tax by themselves. So if you check the ICANN pack, you will see that federal government collects tax for FCT, but it's no longer like that. Like that, so the pack is old, right? Now we have FCTIRS that collects taxes for the FCT, right? So you need to put that in when you're reading the pack, right? So we have federal governments, we have state governments, we have local governments, right? They have certain taxing rights. And if you look at my screen, you would see some of the taxes that the federal government has have the exclusive right to collect. You see things around company income tax, things around withholding taxes for companies and non-residents. You would see things around petroleum profit tax. Sorry, just give me a minute. Somebody's trying to. All right, guys. So, sorry, I'm trying to share my screen back. Sorry. Yeah. So, right, share my screen. Share. So you can see my screen, right? You can still see my screen. Please confirm.
Yes, you can see.
All right. So let's move on. So we have some. So company income tax, withholding tax, petroleum profit tax, value added tax, tertiary education tax, and capital gain tax. So now, just to give you an expo, right? So federal government does more of company income tax. They collect taxes for companies more, right? So the withholding tax they collect is majorly for, limited liability companies. So it's for companies. Federal government deals with companies more than individuals, right? So federal government, they deal with companies, company income tax, withholding tax for companies, VATs, for companies that remit that. So they deal more with companies than individuals, right? Now the state government, now they deal with individuals more, right? They deal with individuals, right? Even though they also deal with companies, but they deal with more of individuals, right? Personal income taxes, withholding taxes on individuals and enterprises. We have capital gain tax on individuals as well. So they deal more with individuals. Right? So you need to it's just a way for you to understand. So federal government deals with companies more, state government deals with individuals. They deal with individuals more, right? So all the state IRSs, states in like so we have for Lagos we have LIRS. For federal government, for FCT we have FCT IRS. For Akwa Ibom we have AKIRS. For Kano State, I think Kano now we have KIRS. We have Kaduna, we have like KIRS and all that. So we have all these revenue authorities under the state government collecting personal income taxes, individual taxes, very important, right? Business premises levy. So these are some of the list of the taxes that they collect, right? Yeah. And then we have local governments, right? They collect some of these taxes, right? So I mean, there's something we're doing recently that we had to do some property taxes for you know for one of our clients, and then we had to do an analysis of taxes that each of these categories will collect, and sometimes you have duplicate duplicate people. I mean, local government collecting tax and federal government. So if you look at this list already, just look at this list that I'm showing you, right? You would see you see something like you see that naming of streets. You see naming of streets under state government. You see it under local government, right? If you look at, you also see things like yes, you see something like development levy as well. You also see it in the two places. You see, so you see repetition of taxes in both state and local government, right? So I mean that's what we call multiple taxation, where we have people taxing multiple agents taxing the same listen, right? So so FIRS is, like I said, is the authorized um um body that collects government tax on behalf of the federation, not just federal government now, because it's very important. I think that's something that the tax reform bill is trying to correct. Before now, we used to call them FIRS, which means Federal Inland Revenue Service. But the problem is they collect taxes for everybody. So the tax reform bill is supposed to change their name to NRS, meaning Nigeria Revenue Service. So that's what the laws will change very soon. It's still in the National Assembly to try to sign it. So because, for example, the FIS collects VAT for every transaction, and then they share it. So the VAT they collect is not only for federal government, they collect for everybody and then they share. So you cannot say they are Federal Inland Revenue Service when they are collecting state taxes as well, right? So that's why they've said, okay, let's change the name in the new law to Nigerian Revenue Service, right? So that'll be that's part of the new law that's coming up. But for now, their name is still FIRS, right? FIRS meaning Federal Inland Revenue Service. They collect taxes for the federal government, right? Federal government, they do federal government, right? Collect tax for federal government. And I've listed the kind of taxes they collect under the federal government: company income tax, withholding tax, companies, stamp duty, and all that, right? So you need to know that, right? So these are some of their composition. You can read this on your own. You have the executive chairman, which is who can tell me the name of the executive chairman of the FIRS? Let me see if there's anybody that is the tax person here. Who can tell me the name of the executive chairman of the FIRS? Nobody. Nobody. Okay. So do you have anybody that is the core tax person here that does tax? And maybe your finance department, you also do tax. You're the one that does the tax leg of the finance leg. Anybody here do taxes? Anybody? Okay. Okay. So we have more core finance people here. All right. All right. So so FIRS, so that's FIRS. So we have FIRSB. Right? FIRSB is Federal Inland Revenue Service Board. They're the board that manages the affairs of the FIRS, right? It's the board that manages the affairs of the FIRS. So they manage the affairs of it. So FIRSB manages FIRS, right? Which is very important. So you read the functions of the FIRS as well. They collect company taxes, they enforce taxes, and all that. You can just read that on your own, collaborate with ministries, and all. I'm just trying to make sure that we finish this first chapter. So the secretary to the LRS, what their responsibilities are, you can read that on your own. Composition of the technical committee, right? Very important as well. Function of the technical committee, Federal Inland Revenue Service as well. Then we have the joint tax board as well, the responsibilities, the composition, quorum, functions, and all that. This one is keep all this one. They cannot even. I've never seen any person when they ask you this in advanced tax. So I'm just trying to skip them. Now, very important. This is a very important point. Number one, they said what are the limitations of tax administration? This one is a very examinable part, right? Limitations of tax administration. Now, you need to understand that in Nigeria today, there are challenges with our tax administration, right? And I've stated one of them, right? Um, Lack of public enlightenment. People don't know about taxes in Nigeria. That's the problem we have in Nigeria. So people are not even aware. So if you go on the road and you ask a regular person, you say, okay, how much tax are you supposed to pay? They don't know. Or tell the person and say, okay, are you paying your taxes? How can you pay your taxes? They're not even aware. So there's a lot of lack of public enlightenment in the tax space in Nigeria today. So if they ask you what are the problems of taxation in Nigeria, limitation of tax administration, you need to answer that, right? It can come in different ways, right? Inadequate funding for tax authorities. And this is very important. Though I know for Lagos State, for FCTRS, for Rivers, and which other state again? I know that they've started getting some form of fundings, right? But for some states, they lack funding, right? They lack funding. They are not well paid, and all that. And you see their officers are not even well trained. Lack of training is also part of it, right? It's part of the problem is that some officials are not well trained. You understand? So even people that are supposed to collect taxes, they don't even know. So I mean, we've had meetings with them where you'd be able to tell them, okay, this is what the law says. The law says this, right? And then they are telling you, oh, where is that? We are not even aware, right? So it is very important that the government begins to fund these institutions, right? So we have poor enlightenment, we have inadequate fundings, we have lack of qualified. I will not this third point. If I were to write into the exam, I would say lack of qualified and experienced tax officials, not debt, more like, right? I would say lack. They lack people that are really experienced. A lot of experienced people, right? Then number four is tax evasion. Tax evasion. People don't want to pay taxes. That's a problem. People don't even want to pay. People are looking for a way to escape, right? I said that in the beginning. Nobody wants to pay tax, right? So let me just even ask us a question, right? How many of us know that they deduct tax from your monthly salary? How many of us know that from whatever you collect every month, they take taxes? How many of us know that? So now, okay, only Augustine says that I know. Okay. So secondly, how many of us know the amount? How many of us go to check? Okay, how much did they take for my taxes? How many of us check that? How many of us monitor how much they collect? You monitor it. Okay, Augustine said you monitor
You
it,
mean
right?
government
No,
workers or private workers?
everybody, both government and private,
We have some
right?
private organizations that don't pay their pay.
Yeah. I mean, those ones are really small. I'm talking about standard organizations, like standard private organizations, right? Yeah. So I mean, the reason why I'm asking that is that people don't want to pay. So I mean, let me ask you a question on this call, right? If you have a way of not paying taxes so that your take home, your net salary will be more, would you explore that option? Yeah, Augustine, tell us. If you have a way of saying, oh, I don't want to pay tax so that my total take home will be more, will be increased, would you explore that option?
Yes, of course, I will. Knowing fully
Why?
well that even the tax we are paying, we don't see what the government is doing with it. So I will explore that
Exactly.
option so that my,
That's why.
my, my
That's
money
why.
can be enough for my salary can be enough for me.
So I mean, that's just it. Most people will not want to pay, right? Most people will not want to pay. So if they have a way of saying this money I deserve for my money every month, if I have a way of saying I don't want to pay it, people will not pay. So tax evasion is a problem that people so we have that a lot, right? And then in the tax laws, there are loopholes that people explore to not even pay taxes. People don't pay taxes, right? People do not pay taxes. And improper use of tax consultants. So some people use tax consultants to evade taxes. You know that as a tax consultant, for example, you know the law like front to back. So no matter how bad the situation is, you know how to find your way around it, right? So if they involve a tax consultant and say, okay, um, see this our situation, we have not paid taxes, so this is where we are. Tax consultant can use different laws, right? Right. So there's something they call something they call status bar, right, in the law, right? So as an example, I'm giving as a practical example. So status bar means that the tax authority is not supposed to audit you for more than 6 years, right? So if you're coming to audit me, for example, and in 2024, it means you can only audit up to 6 years. Anything more than 6 years, you are going against the law, right? That's status bar, right? But the challenge is this, right? So if a client has not paid taxes before that 6 years, right, and the client is in, and the authorities come and say, oh yeah, let me check your books. Let's carry out an audit. Let's check your books, right? If they go to a tax consultant, the tax consultant will say, don't worry, we'll find a way. Let's look for, let's see how we can, let's see where we can come from. Because they know the law, they'll be able to go to the authority and say, okay, you are going against the status bar in the law, blah, blah. Why are you going against? Why are you going more than 6 years? It's supposed to be 6 years. You cannot go more than 6 years and all those other conversations, right? And, and then, so it can be a problem, right? It's a problem, right? So inadequate use of tax consultant can be a problem because when you are using them in the wrong way, right, can be a problem, right? So lack of proper personnel, loopholes in the law, poor governance. I'm going to ask also, make sure you're listening very well. Problems of tax in Nigeria. It can come in different ways. Problems of tax administration in Nigeria, problems of tax in Nigeria, problems of they can put in any way the example. You need to be able to articulate your points and then give valid explanations, right? And then we have I already defined tax for us, right? I also meant to define it. Tax can be defined as a compulsory payment to the government imposed by law without any direct benefit or value to or service to the individual, whether it is called tax or not. Very important, right? And then we have multiple taxation, right? I said multiple taxation happens where a particular amount is levied by more than one state or one authority, right? So, for example, and this happens a lot. I mean, how many of us stay in Lagos? If you know you stay in Lagos, can I see your hand? How many of us stay in Lagos? I mean, she want to raise what I want to say now. How many of us if you stay in Lagos, can you just indicate with a raise of a hand? Stay in Lagos. Fellow stays in Lagos. Who else? Only one person is in Lagos. Every other person, where the okay, if you Augustine, you don't stay in Lagos.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Bolaji, you don't stay in Lagos. Oh, okay.
I don't stay in Lagos, but I work in Lagos, like around Bega
Oh,
side. I stay around Bega.
and Bega is still like Lagos now. Why is it as if you are staying in Ara State? You're still kind of in Lagos now.
It's Ogun State side, Bega, Alagbole side.
Oh, okay. All right. Rachel, okay, Rachel sends Lagos, right? So, I mean, this one I'm saying that I want to give an example. So I want to know how many people will be able to relate, right? So if you are a bus driver that drives commercial vehicle, right? Downfall and all that, right? Drive buses, right? You find out that at every bus stop where you drop passengers, you find people that want to collect money from you. You say, as you get to this bus stop, somebody say, oh yeah, how far? Where's my money? You get to the next bus stop again. Somebody say, I want to collect money. And you're like, and some I was spitting, I'm almost like, how are these people coping to make profit, right? If they keep collecting money from them like this, and all that. But in the practical sense, if you have a business in a particular location, you'd have experienced this. You find out that somebody will come and say, oh, this one is state tax, come and pay. When you finish paying, somebody will come again and say, this one is not state, this one is local government. Another person will come and say, this one is area council tax. And, so we have a lot of multiple taxation in Nigeria. When a particular income is being taxed by different authorities, right? Different revenue authorities, is called multiple taxation. When a particular revenue or income or profits of a business is being taxed by several revenue authorities, we then say that is a multiple taxation, right? It's very important that you understand that, right? And what can be the cost, right? And they can ask you costs of multiple taxation. I mean, this is an examinable question, very examinable, right? I mean, I'll probably give you a class assignment to go and do so you guys can see how some of these things come out. I'll probably give you like 2-3 years questions to go and look at so you can play with and then you can solve it before our next class, right? And then so what are the causes of multiple? Number one, when the personnel, when the revenue authorities are not well funded. So let me explain. For example, in some states, I mean, thank God for President Tinubu that have said, okay, all the federal revenue should go to federal, all the state revenue should go to state, and then all the local government revenue should go to local governments, right? And then so they've been that separation between, what revenue each revenue authority should collect, right? But then you would still find that the state governments will take up all the money for the local governments, take their money and don't give them any money. So because the local governments they don't have money, they'll be thinking of different tax to collect. You understand? So plus the one that state has collected, they will just come and be so when they are not adequately funded, when they can be collecting unnecessary taxes, right? Very important. Number two, loopholes in the law is another reason for multiple taxation. Loopholes. When there are loopholes in the law, you understand? You're not really clear. You didn't, for example, in the law, it's not clear who should collect this particular tax. For example, if state governments come, they will collect. Local government will still come and collect. Yes, anybody can still come and collect because it's not really clearly stated, clearly explained in the law, right? So it has to be clearly stated in the law, So I said number one is what lack of funding can cause it. I said number two is what loopholes in the law can also cause multiple what taxation, right? Right. And number three is when the state authorities, I mean, when other revenues try to absorb the responsibility of another authorities, of other revenue authorities. So, for example, look at, for example, in Nigeria today, you see state government coming to collect some levies that are for local government. It doesn't make sense. So, at the end of the day, you end up paying to state and paying to local government. So I mean, there are so many scenarios that can bring up multiple taxation, right? It's very important that you know you understand it and you're able to explain it, in such a way that the examiner will be able to mark it, right? So I've mentioned three key points. There are so many others, right? Maybe so I think I can see. I'm looking at what we have in the pack, and it's not really that quality, lack of tax information, because this pack was written in 2021, right? Imagine we're in 2024, so can imagine that some of the information here will not be updated, right? And so that's what I'm just trying to see how I can. So one of it is, okay, I think I can take that E, right? Lack of information and data can, yeah, lack of information and data. So yeah, I think that one is very valid. So one of the problems that we have is there is no sync between federal, state, and local governments as of today, right? So normally, as an individual, it should be clear when I pay my tax. Both local government should know. Whether state government should also be aware that I've paid my taxes. But the problem is there's no sync between them. So when you have paid your tax to state government, local governments are not even aware. They will still come and be disturbing you about the same thing, right? And then when you show them that you have paid, they might even still insist, to collect something from you, right? And that's the problem. That's why we have this multiple taxation coming up, right? So it's very important. You can just read this on your own. So the problems that this cause, so yeah, it can cause investment challenges, right? So if I am an investor in China and I want to invest in Nigeria, I will not want to invest in Nigeria or in a location where there's multiple taxation because it can kill my business, right? So, for example, if I want to open maybe I want to open a factory or something, I will not want to open it in a location where I know that there is multiple taxation problem because at the end of the day, there's my profit will be taxed by different authorities. So I need to be clear. I need a place where I'm clear that okay, when I make a particular profit, I'm only paying 30% as tax. That's all. I'm only paying 20% as tax. That's all. So I'm clear that okay, yes, that's what I'm going to pay. Unlike what is applicable now, where somebody can just come and say pay this, pay that, and all that, and without. So even in Lagos State, for example, we still have some authorities that are still coming to do some of these things. Signage fee, what's it called again? Signage. We have so many effluent, what's it called, pollution, different fees in Lagos, even in Lagos, for example, so you just be surprised that you have to pay that different fees, right? Yeah, so tax yield is very low as a result of numerous taxes. Yes. So one thing that can happen when there's multiple taxation is that you have lower tax yield, right? Tax yield. So if I know that I'm going to be taxed by various revenue authorities, I will not even want to pay at all. I will even want to evade the taxes. I even want to evade that because I'm not even sure who I'm supposed to pay to. You understand? I want is it I want to dodge one of them, or I want to dodge everybody safe, not to pay at all. Do you understand? So that's can happen. So solutions that include streamlining taxes, making sure that we have taxes. What else? I think so. There are so many solutions. Another solution is practical solution is that you know from the fact that I mean one of the things that the law is trying to do, the new tax bill is that it's trying to streamline taxes, right? So in Nigeria today, we have over 200 taxes, unofficial taxes that people pay, right? As of now, we have so in Lagos we have some 60 something that people pay, 60 something just in Lagos here, and then we have so in some situations, some scenarios, we have people come to. In fact, I mean, many of us stay in different areas now. You see, estate people come say, "Hey, estate levy." That one is different from you still pay land use charge. You still pay this one if you are the owner of the house. You pay a lot of money, right? So government needs to be in sync, right? Let people be able to know how much. So there's need for public enlightenment to solve this problem. Number one, there's need for streamlining taxes. There's need for proper training of their staff as solution, proper training of their employees, of their staff. You know, there's need for um, sync between the federal, state, and local governments in terms of tax administration and all that. All those other things need to come in. Yeah. So I think this is what we have for this chapter, right? So I'll give you an assignment that will probably bring out a practical assignment in. But if you have any questions, this is a good time to ask your question. We have done chapter one in advanced tax, right? And like I said, you need to do the assignment so that you are. So I'm going to give you like 3 years where questions have come out from chapter one, so that you can look at it on your own before the next class. Right. So, but tomorrow we'll not be having the class tomorrow because I'm just taking the advanced audit tomorrow, right? And so for advanced tax, I'll give you some time to do the assignment so that maybe by Wednesday or Thursday we can have another class to look at chapter two, right? I want us to just quickly move fast so that we can start the calculation. There are a lot of calculations in advanced tax that we need to do, right? And I want to take us really fast so that we are not rushing towards the diet, right? I'm planning to complete all my lecture by March ending thereabouts, right? So we're already done with everything. It's just if you have questions, past questions, just send it to me and we can always look at it together, right? So let me share the questions I'll be doing, the assignment I'll be doing. But if you have any questions, this is a good time to ask, right? Sorry, can you guys still hear me? Can anybody still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So, I mean, just to ask us a question, right? I mean, just this is real life question, right? Why do you think people don't want to pay taxes in Nigeria generally? Like, why do you think people don't want to pay taxes in Nigeria? If you ask 4 out of 5, they'll tell you they don't want to pay. They have their way. They don't want to pay a dime. Why? Who can tell me why?
Like I said earlier, if I had the means not to pay tax, I would not pay tax because number one, our government mismanages funds got it from taxation, and then we are not seeing the results. Like we go to other countries, their taxes are high, but if you are paying for water, you get water. If you are paying for light, you get light. But in the case of Nigeria, it's not so. So I think that's one of the reasons that discourages people from paying tax.
Okay. Okay. So sorry, let me just confirm. Where, which state do you reside currently?
I mean, Delta State.
Oh, Delta. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. So any other reason why is it that people don't want to pay taxes, or why is it that you don't want to pay if you have your way?
I think he has mentioned the major reason why we are not encouraged by our government to be paying tax. So that's just it.
You are not
If-
encouraged by what? Why? Why are you not encouraged?
Because they are not doing what they're supposed to use the tax for. They are not using it for it. We can't see the benefit of paying tax.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. People cannot see benefits of paying tax. Hmm. There's something they call social contract. How many of us have heard of that before? Hmm? How many of us have heard of social contract before? Is social contract means that you and government. Okay, okay, Bolaji say, yeah, Bolaji, tell us what's social contract.
I think is when I can't remember, but I know it is in CSME. I think is when you have a duty to give back to the society or something like that.
Okay,
I think it's a voluntary surrender to the government. Can you hear me,
okay,
sir?
okay, yeah, yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
The voluntary surrender of maybe of our rights to the government.
Okay, okay. So the thing is, you know, when you pay your taxes, there's like a social contract behind, right? Where you give you carry out your responsibility to the government, right? You give your responsibility to the government, make sure you do it, right? While the government in return will do their own responsibility. It's like a deal, it's like a contract where government has a role to play, you also have your own role to play, right? You pay your taxes, and I mean, you always see government say that to pay your taxes, we use it to do infrastructure and all that. Though I get what Augustine and I think Comfort spoke earlier about not seeing what the taxes are being used for, right? I mean, remember in our definition, right? You're not supposed to see a direct benefit, but you're supposed to get a benefit, but not a direct benefit anyway. So I think that's one of the problems actually why people don't pay taxes. People don't see the importance of paying the taxes in the first place, right? But then um, it's just like saying that because you are not how do I put it? How many of us pay for? I'm just give us an example now. How many of us pay subscription for DSTV at home? How many of us have DSTV? Pay for DSTV. How many of us? Okay, DSTV. Okay, Augustine. Yeah. So when do you know that you don't get to watch DSTV 24/7, right? But you pay 24/7, right? So how do you recoup the amount of time you don't watch it for, or don't you think that is the cheating? I'm not to bring out one point as I'm asking you this question. Do you get my point? You pay DSC for a whole month, so you are paid for every minute for that month, every second for that month, right? But you don't get to watch it all the time because maybe either you are away at work or there's no light or something, right? And then you are paying fully for it, right? But of course, you're able to watch maybe when you're around or something and all that, but you're not able to watch 24 hours as you are paid for, right? So what happens to the other times when you are not watching it? Do you ask for refund, or do you just tell it? Do you not say it has gone?
For
So
me,
Augustine,
I feel
yeah.
that's not on on DSTV. That's on me. If I have the
Mm,
time, I can watch 247,
mm,
right? And then
yeah.
I think DSTV has even made this such that if you have subscription on your DSTV decoder, you can also connect
Yeah.
it on your phone to be able to watch
Mm,
through your phone. So it's not their business. If I have the time to say, okay, I don't want to work, I want to focus on watching DSTV 247, it will be they are not going to cut the subscription. They will say, oh, I'm watching this thing too much. As long as my subscription is on, so it's on me.
mm, yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
That's very
So,
correct, sir. You know,
yeah.
24/7, if you want to sit down with your television 24/7, you get
Yeah.
watching whatever you want to watch on DSTV. They are playing it for you. It's you that don't have time to sit down and watch whatever you want to watch. So the blame is not on them, but you are the one that don't have time for your DSTV or your subscription to use your money. So it is not their fault. You paid, they give you whatever you want, you paid for. But it now depends on you to sit down 24/7 and continue watching.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to bring out a very important point here. So, for what you guys just said now, it means you have a contract with DSTV, and DSTV has played their own part. They've given you full access. You are the one that is not now having the time, right, to watch, right? So you have a contract with them. You've paid them. They've given you access, 24 hours access, but you're the one that is not watching. So you cannot go back to DSTV and say, "Oh, sorry, I'm not able to watch 24 hours," right? You can't go back to them, right? So in the same vein, right, to an extent, right, the government provides certain facilities that people are not taking advantage of, right? And I think it's I mean, so sometimes you need to be informed about some of these things that they are doing, right? Um, there are a lot of programs going on. For example, in Lagos, for example, there are certain programs going on, but if you are not aware, you just miss out on some of these programs, right? And more than that, I also think that, of course, I know that government can do more in terms of what they can do, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of development, in terms of education, healthcare, and all that. But some of the things that they do, some of us are not even aware, and we're not even participating, we're not even involved, right? Once you pay your taxes, you're not looking at what you can get from the government in all, right? And another thing is, like I said, without direct benefit to you, there are also other things that governments. So the taxes that you pay, they use it to pay their salaries, pay government salaries, keep government running, right? They use it for, apart from infrastructure, they use it for a couple of other things that, so for example, security, for example, I mean, securing the state, all those other things, right? That you benefit from. So for some of us, I mean, those of us are staying in Lagos, you pass Third Mainland Bridge, right? So Third Mainland Bridge was even done by the federal government, but I mean, it's taxes that were used to do that, right? And so I mean, some of the other things that you enjoy that are, like I said, it's a social contract, right? So if government should do a particular road, maybe, and it's not in your area, you don't have any right to say, "Oh, I'm enjoying the road," because it's not even in your area at all, right? You're not passing there. But if you want to enjoy the road, change your location to that area and go and enjoy the road. That's funny enough. That's funny, all right? Right. But what I'm saying here in all is two things. Number one, government can do more, like we said, and secondly, there are certain things they do that we just need to be informed about so that we can enjoy. You understand? And then when you are paying your taxes, you should look out for what you can enjoy, right? What you can enjoy from the federal government, right? So there's this program they did in Lagos sometime last year, right? And it's for people that are, um, I think it's for training. The training for people that want to learn certain skills, right? I mean, free of charge, right? I think it was done by the LSETF or thereabouts, right? So some people participated and they benefited, right? Some people are not aware at all. They're not even aware that those kind of programs are going on, and then they will not see, oh, there's no benefit, there's no benefit. Meanwhile, you're not even aware of some of these things, right? So it's just being informed and your ability to be able to benefit, right? So I'm sharing. So where's is Bolaji on this call? Is Bolaji on this call? Bolaji, are you on the call?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so what I want to do for me is I'm going to be calling out the years we're going to be treating, right? If possible. So that, of course, some people say they're not able to find the pack. So screenshot these years and post on the platform, right? Just maybe go on Pathfinder, screenshot the years, and then post it on the platform, right?
Okay.
So I don't know, you might want to write it down
Okay.
so you don't, and everybody can also write it down so that that is what you're working with, right? So your assignments, please, like I said, do your assignment and send it to me. Write it out. Write it out. Don't say I'm busy. Very soon you'll be the only one in the exam, or I'll not be there. So try as much as possible to take advantage of when I'm available so that you can, ask your questions and we're able to. Um, so the first one we want to do is November 2021, right? Question 7, right? November 2021, question 7. May 2021, question 6, right? November 2021, question 7. May 2021, question 6. right? And I think so. Just give me a minute. I know it came out the last two diets. Just give me a minute. Let me just confirm that. But I know I saw 2024. So I've given you two now, right? Bolaji, right? Where's Bolaji? Bolaji has gone off. Oh. Please, I hope you guys are taking notes, Sha.
Yes, yes, we are. Yes, we are taking notes.
Okay. All right, me. I'm coming. I know it came out in May. I just want to be sure of the question number. Just give me a minute, please. Sure that you are.
Yes, it's giving us
Bolaji, what's happening to your network?
call. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm coming. I'm just to find out the question. I know it came out in the last two diets.
Bolaji no one pay tax.
You said?
I say when Bolaji no one pay tax, your
Okay,
network go good now.
native, not native, proximity, treaty shopping. No, it's not this one. Let me see. 2020. Just give me a minute. I'm just trying to map up, see the question. Okay, so I think it's May 2023. Just give me. Okay, this is capitalization. Okay. So I think just add this to it. Add November 2020, November 2020 question 6. So do we get it? November 2021 question 7, May 2021 question 6, November 2020 question 6. Are we? Do we get that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So Balaji, help us just post the questions to the platform so that everybody can, you know, try their hands on that, right? So that the exam, any question that comes from here, you're able to really tackle it, right, the way it's supposed to be, right? So do we have any questions as we close the class today? Any question as we round off today? So in the absence of any question, I'd like to call it a day. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you on Wednesday or Thursday. Communicate the time on the platform. Have a nice day ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. God
Thank you,
bless
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.